Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It is Shirley with Spirit of Matter. And this is a video about the new moon in Pisces. So we're going to have a new moon in Pisces 10 March, depending on where you are on the globe. And I call this video Sweet Release because it is. We have the new moon in 20 degrees Pisces, releasing from a sextile to Uranus in 19 degrees Taurus. It is the closing sextile. Okay? So we are beginning something that has a little bit of a closure note, and Mars in the background is releasing from the square to Uranus. So Mars in 20 degrees Aquarius, releasing from the square to 19 degrees Uranus. This tension that is felt throughout this week is going to be released. So why am I saying a sweet release? Because this new moon is in the sextile point. Okay, and this is important to remember. Jupiter, that is ruling this new moon, is in 12 degrees Pisces. So again, Jupiter, 12 degrees Taurus. Jupiter in Taurus, nothing new, but this new lunation is ruled by this Jupiter that is in Venus sign, Taurus. Venus in Aquarius, 28 degrees Aquarius, still in Aquarius, and Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces again. And another interesting thing about this is that this Saturn at 11 degrees Pisces is opposing Juno, the asteroid Juno, that is applying to conjunct Lilith widely. And so with asteroids, there is a difference of opinions, not about the asteroids, but about should you talk about when we have an opposition rather than a conjunction. And so my point of view is that depends. If you have anything around the first degrees of Virgo, then you are going to feel it. Okay, you are going to feel that more so than people who don't, because this Saturn is not just opposing whatever planet you have there, but is opposing Juno, that you will feel by the merit of this planet. So some people, this might go unnoticed, but to those who won't, there's something quite interesting happening. The whole atmosphere of this lunation is a closure, a release, a relief from something that is relational, Venus, okay, but also Sun and Moon, that is about worldview beliefs or outdated beliefs, or even beliefs that are, causing you to undermine yourself, or certain addiction-related worldview or beliefs. Fundamentalism as well might be released here, or this is a wishful thinking, but it's not impossible. Okay, this is the atmosphere. Okay, we are releasing something, and of course also release of certain limitations. Okay, Venus is in Aquarius, and these limitations are more of the mind, of an air quality. Yes, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will have open skies and everybody will be able to travel again. It's more a closure of something. And then we have this Saturn on the 11th with Juno on the 11th of Virgo. And this is adding Mercury into the point for those who will feel it. Mercury is in 0 degree Aries, sextile in Pluto. So what we have here, for those who may feel it, you might be intensely committed to yourself. Intensely committed to yourself. Saturn commitment. The opposition from Juno is also about commitment. Okay, she's the goddess of married women, but also her husband was not exactly monogamous. So this is where some people, I think, might even despair from certain notions of both monogamy and not monogamy and amonogamy, and will instead center on themselves very deeply. Okay, and also this Mars that is releasing from Uranus in the background, you're gonna know, you're gonna feel it. Okay, it's not pinpointed by the sun and moon very directly, but you're going to feel it. And indirectly, of course, it is related. Saturn in Jupiter, co-present with in Jupiter Sun, co-present with the Moon. Jupiter in Taurus, Venus in Aquarius, and what it gives you is kind of, when all else fail, focus on you. Focus on whether it's self-love, self-care. But there can also be, with this, can also come another form of commitment that is way more authentic to you. So I'm not sure whether it is about you saying, oh, well, nobody is faithful, nobody is loyal, at least I will be loyal to myself. Or it means something along these lines, and then you are loyal to yourself, and lo and behold, you are not alone. Aries, whoever has, let's say, Aries 7th house or even 1st house, or Pisces 7th house or 1st house. Okay, so Pisces, Virgo, Aries, and Libra ascendants. All people who have the rulers in Pisces, Virgo, Libra, and Aries. You guys are going to feel this a lot. So some things that held you back are being released. It can also be some even energy block, because this is Mars releasing from Uranus. Uranus is a lot about energy, and Mars is energy in another way. So releasing energy blocks. Okay, if you've had conflict inside you did your reactionary moment, and then, okay, let go. So this can allow you to really clear the path for whatever it is, creative endeavor, relationship, a worldview, network of connections, depending on the house this falls for you, that is actually be more attuned with you. Okay, and so yes, and so for those who may feel this, Juno, there is a moment there. Okay, it's a moment there. I think it is something that has the potential to bring blessings. If you do focus on yourself, you understand what are your desires, your interests, the ways that you have been undermining yourself, and so you can actually tend to those. So we talked about sextile, yes, this sextile. We talked about Venus, we talked about Mars. And yes, Mars is ruling Chiron and Rahu. Now, this Mars you're not going to feel so directly, because it's not like it's conjuncting Mars, but this Mars is causing action that is still felt because of its release from Uranus. And we've been feeling this all week while Rahu is conjuncting with Chiron, 17 degrees Aries. What this means. First of all, the entire Mars that now is sextiling this Chiron Rahu is taking action and addressing certain wounds we have about autonomy, asserting ourselves, being kind of the weird duckling, because Aquarius is about being the one outside of kind of like, it's very interesting because Aquarius is about having a community, but usually it is about you are in the community, you don't feel you have a place to be yourself, so you do a community of people that are more like you, so that you create a community of a place to be your weird self. Okay, and there are all the dissonances around community, humanity, the self, and the society. Okay, so unless it is 7th house, or for you it's the self and the society. If it is more intimate, then it's the self and other, and you have these themes around going outside to create a new community. And with Mars being there, sextile in Chiron and Rahu, there is a desire to create a new community. A community where you can be yourself in. Okay? But there is also tending to the wound of that not previously happening. Okay, so you're going to feel the pain of not having a community, but you also are very much desiring to address this pain and change the current results. And you are meeting this wound from a more informed place. Okay, certain communities, even because Saturn is in the 11th degree of Pisces, around both types of like suicide ideation, okay, with all the triggers associated, and death with dignity. Okay, suicide is not just, oh, a person is making bad decisions. Suicide is also either they have certain ideation, and then they're because they are in ideation of the process of doing this and so on and so forth, or they just want the experience of the near-death experience of crossing over and feeling all that, and they just don't know how to get this in life. But sometimes we're just talking about that with dignity. Okay, and so communities around this topic can occur. Conversations, whether it's acceptance, normalization of the discourse, and I always pay attention how I present a topic, because this relates a lot to the actual transit. Okay, just the notion that dealing with suicide is not just suicide ideation. Sometimes it's actual death with dignity, is something that is important. And notions around freedom, because again, we are talking about Aries. Aries is about autonomy, to be yourself, to do you, okay, basically. And about freedom, so to be yourself, to have your beliefs. Aries, even if it is religious, it's more Kantian religion. For example, I am divine. Okay, Aries will say, I am divine. I am God. Not in the sense that you are, not in the sense that you are above other people. You say, I am God, you are God, everybody is God. Okay, and so we can think rationally, and we can think, if we are all divine, then we have the ability to make good decisions ourselves. We just need to think about it, and we need to meditate, or we need to do something that makes this accessible. Okay, thought is an action with Aries. And this is a more like a Kantian worldview. Yes, so even if you are religious, you are more towards sovereignty. You see people with Aries, even when they are very spiritual, like Gigi Young, are very much encouraging people to be sovereign and to do a process themselves, and to take the words even that they speak as complementary to the own soul search and so on. This is very Aries. And so this can be a time where we desire to be more secular. Okay, I know Kant was a priest, yes, but you understand how even if you are spiritual or religious, bringing it from out there, that only gifted people can channel God and so on and so forth. You watch Lada Duncheva in the paid videos, she's channeling God in your face. Okay, she's not being like, it's just natural. It's just natural. It's communication. But this is also where you're not so religious, then you say, hey, secularism has a point. Secularism has a place, because it is about the I am. And you might want to create a community of secular people, a community of the type of religion where is not offensive to do, let's say, astrology and Christianity or whatever, or Islam or whatnot. It's not offensive to receive a message and say, oh, I asked God for so and so, and immediately I was shown this. Okay, nobody looks at you like you're cuckoo. It's those type of things. But also the people who are completely atheistic, taking the I am to I don't need a God to turn to for morals. Okay, I can be moral without a God. I hope it is understandable that atheistic people are not immoral people, and there are immoral people that are extremely religious, even when we're talking about the philosophy. Okay, there are all kinds of streams of religion and atheism. So community of like-minded thinkers or of divergence of thought, where the divergence, because it is Aquarius, so it can go to the divergence, is very important. Okay, Aries is the place, and Mercury is in 0 Aries. Aries is the place where we heard the famous saying, I don't even remember who said this, I vehemently disagree with you, but I will risk my life so that you can express your point of view. Okay, with Mars in the sextile to Chiron, we are seeing this now, and Mars is approaching the square to Uranus. So there is a tension, there is a reactionary archetype that is coming to express itself, okay? And this is, and as Mars is doing so, is also applying to Aries. I talked about this in another video. So this is in the background. This new moon might mean you are letting go of trying to relate to communities that are not accepting of you in those communities, and form new communities that are more secular, that accept divergence of thought, that are combining things that people didn't combine before, like science or astrology and either religion, or astrology and atheism, or when we think about even communities around health. Okay, so different worldview around health, because Pisces is also health. All of these things are brought into the discourse, and definitely some tension is released. So before this new moon, Mars will be exactly squaring Uranus, but it is a couple of degrees away from sextiling Aries. And so we want to think about the misrepresented. If you watched my if you watched my forecast, I talked about when Venus is going to apply to the Neb Algedi, and before that she's going to sextile Aries, and she's sextiling Aries. And so with Venus, it was more about if you were not loved, if you were did not receive validation, especially as a man, because Venus in the chart of a man is the woman. If he's cisgender man, look it for cisgender woman. Or between women and amongst themselves, so sisterhood and so on, or it can also be trans people that where the Venusian plays a part in some way. So it can be like, oh, you like to sing, you're a musician, and that's the point. But it can also be you're a trans woman, or you are gender fluid, okay, so 2 genders and so on. In that case, this is the Venus that is outside of the norm, okay? Venus Aquarius is something outside of the norm, so it can be also gender itself. And this gives us a great enlightenment, okay? It's like, oh, there are other ways to express love. Mars is already about action and taking action. So forming a community. For some, because this is a new moon, you might want to see, to further look into the days where Mars is exactly conjuncting the Neb Algedi, because it will already be releasing from Uranus quite significantly, and you might want to see if you want to start a community on that on that particular conjunction, because it will still be sextile in Aries. So if you want a community around those who were misrepresented, and have this community protected, or have a little bit of making sure that you are distributing the wealth with your action in a way that is aligning with, you know, with doing good, basically. So that can be a good date for you, especially if you are Aries ascendant, because then Aquarius is in your 11th house, so new communities. And the moon, and you want to wait. It's not just the new moon. You're not going to take action just yet, but you're going to wait. For some, perhaps moon in Taurus is good and significant, but you want to. Yes, you might not want to have it conjunct Uranus. All in all, the atmosphere for this lunation is, yes, we are still releasing with this Mars-Uranus. On a mundane level, of course, we can expect explosiveness and explosives from the air to the earth. So this can be a combination of like an earthquake and bombs or stuff like that dropping from the air. I don't like. Yeah, it is a Mars square Uranus. Okay, it does what it does on a mundane level, but once we release from that, there is a little bit of a closure, and the Mars is forging better territory where it can represent those who are not represented, and do so in a way that distributes, whether it is the attention, the resources, more fairly and equally amongst people. When I say equally, I mean equity. I don't mean equal, like everybody gets the same nugget. Okay? I mean, definitely. Well, there's a whole conversation about this. I don't even know if we have a word that currently describes what Deneb Algiri is doing today. You could totally write like an essay on that. So let's try to work a bit with the signs. Ascendant, Sun, Moon, or stellium, which is a bunch of planets in the same sign. Okay, so for ascendant Aries, I already said, both Venus and Mars are in your 11th house, but the lunation is in your 12th house. So the closure is more around things that are so intimate that unless your ruler of your 12th is somewhere public, like 11th, then no one else knows. So for you, it's going to be very intimate. And it's going to affect your deep psychology. It's going to affect your mental state. It's going to affect, and you're going to feel it or sense it in a place where you could actually be with people, because your ascendant ruler is in your 11th house right now. And while you are having a conversation or networking or even giving a lecture, there is this sudden eureka, sudden release, that is inner, that may or may not have anything to do with what you're talking about. So you could be having this very intimate experience with yourself while you are in public, but the experience is not something that other people see. Okay, something that you remember, or some telepathic communication with, yes, Mercury in your first house, or yes, just something of that sort. If you are dealing with anything like mental ailment, or getting diagnosis, or isolation, or even a refugee status, okay, one of those things, then this can be assorted for you. So you could, for example, be given a talk or given a lecture, then you find out that you got, nobody else knows about this, but you found out that you got your papers, or you get your visa, and you didn't even know that is going to happen. Another thing is that if you You might realize something to do with like your mental situation or how to treat something. With Uranus, it's going to be unconventional, okay? So whether you're like, oh, I'm neurodivergent, okay, that can be the case. Or alternatively, there is display with your 11th and the 12th, so it can improve upon the 11th or drain you, but later there's actually a realization of why that happened. And Uranus means that you're going to be dealing with that in an unusual way. Okay, so probably not going to go DSM. There's something else, and you're going to have the eureka on what is that other thing. It might even be astrology or like magic or talismans or stuff. For Taurus ascendant, so the lunation is happening in your 11th house with Mars and Venus in your 10th house. For you, this new moon is very public. Something is beginning around communities. Something is, and it's affecting your career as well, okay, in the background. So maybe you get a promotion, maybe you're changing your branding or your image. Okay, I was forced to change my image because I have a little bit of troubleshooting when I try to do live video. So I had to return to record again. And now I have this very, with Mercury in Pisces and all this very interesting movie-like color palette around my face. I'm like, I'm just doing an astrology video. But it's just so much other type of communication that goes through that is very interesting. So, and I'm Venus and Sun in Taurus. So yeah. What's more is that if you are having a little bit of conflicts, because Mars is in your 10th, so conflicts, especially around science, around even religion, okay? Saturn is like fundamentalism. It's kind of like the Orthodox. So you could be having this like around your career environment, around your image, around something like that. This could be released after this lunation. So Saturn is not left the arena yet, but the explosiveness that is very much unnerving you with Uranus in your first house, that you get a little bit of a relief from. Ascendant Gemini. So for you, Pisces is actually the 10th and Aquarius the 9th. So you're having a closure in regarding to your, you say, but surely this is a new moon, why closure? Because it's a closing cycle with Uranus. It is a very tight aspect, okay? So we are releasing something with Uranus, and this is a closing sextile. So for you, you are getting ready for an intimate meeting with Uranus. What does it mean? The sun and the moon, after the sextile, they're just going to conjunct. So you are finishing up a chapter with your image, your social status, the way you present yourself to the world, which is beyond your image. If you have a boss or if you are a boss, so it can be career choice or position, something is finishing up. Okay, it's the beginning of a closure. You get to reap the fruits of your labor throughout the entire synodic cycle of both the sun and the moon separately, with Uranus in Taurus. That being said, Taurus is in your 12th house. So there is a deep connection between your unconscious beliefs, okay, Venus the ruler is in your 9th house, making themselves conscious, and you have a little bit of a rebel in the 12th. So it can be somebody's rebelling you, even an astrologer, by the way. If you're Gemini ascendant, Uranus rules astrology, so you might have an astrologer that is either like, in the worst cases, can be even a hidden enemy. But it doesn't have to be a hidden enemy, because if you pay attention, if you are watching this video, if you are dedicating time to astrology, then you are doing a Uranus remediation. I think I need some light. So, this is affecting your worldview, this is affecting your international relations, and this is arriving at your image and at your career and whatnot. So, depending on like what it is, and also you want to look very deeply at what is happening in the 12th, because Venus is right now, they're gonna know. Okay, so both if you have somebody that is in the 12th house from you that you don't see, that is observing you, then they can make themselves known, or their worldview is known, or your worldview is known through methods like science or astrology, or just a shocking like reactionnaire, okay, and through this reaction to you. But also, if you have been doing something in the 12th house and you thought, who's gonna know? They're not gonna know. They're gonna know. 12th house is not just the physical. 12th house is energy. 12th house is telepathy. 12th house is astral projection. Okay, 12th house is also the bedroom. Okay, so again, it doesn't have to be anything, it doesn't mean like good or bad, but if you have, you know what I mean, okay? That which is private is now being making itself conscious. But for you, you can also have a eureka around your unconscious desires, the ways that you've been undermining yourself, but also the hidden wealth, okay? The hidden wealth for underneath, when you, let's take an example for my other hat, which is sexual education. When you explore a fantasy, then you you delve deeper into that, and then you find out that there are layers of the fantasy, and then you go to what's underneath, and you find the hidden wealth, okay? Oh, I just wanted to feel a certain type of connection. I had a psychological need underneath that, kink. So you get to know yourself better, but you can also manifest this desire in a way that's more conscious and more constructive for you. More about this for you. So all eyes on you, okay? Your 10th house is active and you are reaping the fruits of this entire transit, but this is a very misleading statement. You're not reaping the fruit of what you've sown. You're reaping the fruits of the way things developed since you've sown your seeds. So that means that the results are, by the merit of Uranus, unexpected. Because this is a sextile relationship, I want you to be a little bit relieved, okay? And because Mars, before it squares Uranus, it is sextiling Chiron and Rahu. Okay, so you really, really want to get to the bottom of this. You have a desire to sort this out. You come with full-blown accountability. So there's a lot of accountability, a lot of authenticity. Not worried about you, okay? Don't worry. Ascendant Cancer. Hello there. You have Pisces in the 9th house. And the Venus and Mars are having fun in your, or not so fun, in your 8th house. So in this case, you want to think about what you've been thinking about in the past, a cycle, the entire cycle, but so it's a year and so, at least for the Sun. So we're talking about a year and so, almost a year with the Sun to Uranus. And what primed this? Okay, so the next step is the conjunction. So you're about to have this closure, beginning of the closure of the closing cycle. What have you been thinking about, believing in? Saturn is giving you, a ninth house reality check, but it's not just Saturn. And this is relating to your 11th house because Uranus is in Taurus. You want to know where your Venus is, but right now Venus is transiting your 8th house. So again, not unlike your previous ascendant, you also have a little bit of an intimate touch to your public relations. What do I mean by that? So your 8th house is what happens after marriage, okay? What happens after marriage? What belongs to who, okay? Do we have a prenuptial? Do we not have a prenuptial? Do we buy a house together? But also the energies that you are sharing. It's not just marriage, it's also commitment, because 7th house is commitment. But also when your energy blends, okay? So your energy, for example, can blend not only if you're married. This is 8th house, okay? 8th house is what we swipe under the rug, okay? 8th house is where you remember that you pick your nose because you want to go on a date, and now this date is wanting to spend the night with you, and it's like, shit, I don't want to pick my nose next to this date, okay? This is 8th house. It can be something really as simple as this one. Okay, it's those little embarrassments that are just so intimate, but it can also be something a little bit bigger, okay? And that can pertain like to finances, to you, to ancestral lineage, okay? If it is about shared resources, your ancestry, their ancestry, and those things are giving you a little bit of a reality check to your worldview. So your worldview is changing, but also it is public because Uranus, something that happens in the 11th house, so your goals and dreams, but also the type of activism that you do, who you are with on a large scale, okay? Who are your followers, okay? If you have like a social media, with Uranus, you could be doing stuff around the science or around the digital coins or around digitation of the currency or revolution, some sort of a revolution around land as well, land, food, or you could even be doing astrology because Uranus rules astrology. So something from there is going back to a very intimate place within you. Okay, it's kind of like the astrologer, the scientist just going into your 8th house, and they're like, "Don't pick your nose." And like, the fuck? How did you see that? Okay, this is what it is, and then this updates your beliefs in some way. But it's something that has been going, and now you're having a little bit of a closure. Okay, you've been dealing with that. Now there is a little bit of a release. Now, because Mars is in your 8th house and it's going to be squaring that Uranus before it's going to, give you the blessing of like the sweet release enough, like you've severed ties or you made a reaction. And this can be a big action because Mars is ruling Rahu. Before that, there is a tension building with Uranus, but there is also sextile with your 10th house, with Aries. So you are very eager to get this sorted out, whether it's your finances, what you've swiped under the rug, how you've been behaving when other people don't see but only your intimate partners. Okay, there is a deep desire for you to sort this thing out. Not only that, Pluto has moved out of the direct opposition from your ascendant by sign, and so you're having a sweet relief, okay? And you could be feeling like something is explosive or something is about to explode in a very public way, or even something is not related to you is affecting you by this merit of Venus going into your 8th, or something that happened to your partner, if it is Venus by a spouse. In that way, you're now feeling a great relief. You've dealt with that. The action with Mars squaring Uranus before this donation is going to be big in the sense that it's a big chapter for you, and but it's not something that everybody's going to see. It's going to be like energy, like I'm severing ties. Okay, this is what needs to be. But because the sextile to your 10th. Perhaps you're just wanting to get your image straight, your social status straight. You're moving up a chapter, okay? You're moving up a notch with a series of eclipses. Your career, your social standards are moving up a notch, and there are certain things that just can't go with you, okay? And certain boundaries that you're setting also on an energy level. That's what it's likely to be. And because the 12th house for you is, yes, the ruler is going to be in your 10th, but I'm all in all not so worried about you, okay? So again, I'm not worried. It's a sweet release. It's not so much a backlash. And even if there is a backlash, it's something that's easy to be smoothed with all the eagerness to tend to your core wounds. And the only thing asked from you is that you do your Mars right, okay? Which is absolutely not impossible for you to do at this point in time. It's even manifested for you. You might get a little bit of a crisis about this around the eclipse, but right now it's just preparing you. And you're reaping the fruits, okay? Even if you did something a bit offish, your deep desire to for your own sake deal with that is what's getting you on this level of inner accountability that is manifested actually good things for you about this. Ascendant Leo. So Ascendant Leo, Pisces is your 8th and Aquarius is your 7th. So what do I see for you? This would make Taurus. Okay, this would make Taurus your 10th. So what I see for you here is you could get your finances right. I don't know why today it just came to my mind. I was hearing a lot of like American citizens say, oh, my taxes, they're funding genocide and so on and so forth. And lo and behold, the United States is not funding, but is actually receiving money over weapons that she sells to those involved in the war. So this is where you could be having such a eureka. Hey, I'm not funding genocide, but actually a genocide is funding me. This is exactly the type of atmosphere that you have before the lunation. So all in all, what I predict for you is that you make a change in your finances, your long-term investments, your and with Pisces they are very long-term and they are also affected by very deep history. It's not just Jupiter. I want you, even if you just stay by the merit of Neptune being there and it's like you don't associate Neptune with Pisces, still pay attention to the cycle of Neptune. It's that big, okay? But you can also see all that far into the future and all that far back and receive this knowledge. Now you're getting more and more eurekas. For example, if your gold soul is more corrupted than your bank, Mars and Venus, then you know eventually there's going to be a cycle around that. And so while the banks are in a weird situationship, a lot of people say, oh, let's invest in gold. And they're like, they know the corruption of the bank, but they're not that aware of the corruption of how you mine gold and what is ethical mining of gold and how to actually acquire gold in a way that is in alignment with the grand wealth that Neptune yields, okay, which is liquid assets, basically. More things is that your career upheavals, your social status, your branding, you're going through all kinds of changes with this in the entire Uranus cycle. Now you're seeing the results of this in your 8th house, okay? So, for example, you've branded yourself right, your career is good. Now you are able to teach courses around how to invest, or you can also be teaching people how to make money in a way that is considered passive. So this is another thing. If you're an astrologer, you might be looking into those types of teachings, or into the type of teaching of how we share intimate energy with people in our 8th house and what to do about this, how both our ancestries affect us and our marriages and our partnerships and so on, or even enemies. And so, yes, your partner is going to be directly affected, but also they're going to have a say. Your partner is having a say in your 8th house for a while now, and this can be depending, it's a reality check. So anyway, it's, it's supposed to be like for your benefit, but this reality check may be more or less annoying to deal with, depending on what was the reality. So what I predict for you is that you are going to, by your own merit, find a way or receive the knowledge or receive the eureka on how to handle 8th house issues, whether it's with your ancestors, with taxation, with your wealth, generational wealth, your investments, your 401k life insurance, and your partner more effectively. Okay, the next step will be on this cycle will be the closing, the conjunction. And for Virgo ascendant. So Virgo, Pisces is your 7th and Aquarius is your 6th. For you, there is a chapter closing, because this is a closing cycle around partnership. Now, because I want you to make sure, where is your ascendant, sun or moon? Because Virgo 11 degrees is having Juno. So if you have anything in 11 degrees Virgo, you are the one who's going to feel what I talked about in the beginning, that is that calling to have an intense commitment to yourself, okay? Because Mercury is in 0 degrees Aries. So wherever that is, right? We are still talking about a great commitment to yourself, okay? That for you means that, yes, Gemini would be your 10th house. So Taurus would be a 9th house. It's funny. I'm Pisces ascendant, okay? I'm trying to make it like it's exactly opposite for me. It's exactly, Richard Feynman. Oh, yes, the 9th house. That easy. So you're going to have an intense commitment to basically Aries is your 8th house, because Taurus is the 9th house where Uranus is. So your worldview is going through upheavals and revolutions and evolutions and whatnot. And Aries is your 8th house. So this is where your ruler. So you are at your 8th house. Okay, you are your own accountant. You are in charge of what telepathic messages you receive. Mercury, hearing, 8th house, shared messages. Okay, so you like you can also see yourself like what telepathic message, what channeling I'm receiving, and your self, your I am is a bit defined by that. So now it's by transit unless you have it natally. So now you're going to pay attention. Maybe some I am affirmations are going to be effective for you when it comes to your 8th house. So I'm talking about, again, that wealth that stays, that comes with the generations, that stays with the generations. And so if you don't have it from generations, like many of us, then there are other types of wealth that you may have that could, just like energy transmutes. So this is another, how do you transmute your energy? There is a self thing attached with your managing your own money. This is why I guess Virgos, it's just evergreen teaching. This is why Virgos are so good with management, because of things, not necessarily of people. They can be, but they can be. Why am I saying? Because Virgo is a lot about the details, and people are not details. So they are and they aren't. But this is another topic. But they're so good with management because your 8th house is yourself. Aries is the sense of self, regardless of where your ascendant is. And your I am is in the eighth house. So you know about those energies and frequencies and wealth. Um, um, because it, even if you're not aware of it, you swipe it under the rug, but you do have an I am attached to it. The problem, and this is another evergreen teaching, is that your eighth house is not you. So you have to hold this dissonance depending on how your natal chart is doing, is how easily you hold the fact that the energy of your partner is not you. The bank account of your partner is not you, and so on and so forth. So yes, depending if you have the seventh ruler, let's just say I have Jupiter in Aries, so and you're Virgo ascendant, your partner might think that your joint assets are him or her. So that can be another issue, and it's not a conscious thing. Okay, remember in history, people used to let's say if a woman was married, then she would move in with the family of the father, and she would not have her own bank account. Okay, so genuinely it has a history, it has a baggage, but it's not how we live in modern times, hopefully, if you want to have healthy marriage. So this is another thing that comes up. Perhaps this very own little anecdote is kind of like that eureka. Uh, all in all, this affects your worldview a lot when this is affecting your partner. So, partner to worldview, worldview on relationships, your partner's worldview, the importance of the worldview. So, you are growing and your partner is growing. Are you growing to be compatible, spiritually compatible people, or are you growing apart spiritually, which may or may not affect your health, because Venus is in your sixth house. So that is doing Virgo is kind of like doing the opposite of me. I feel like I'm talking to a mirror. It's so difficult. So, but yes, and this is again a closing chapter for you. So you're releasing outdated people, partners, ideas, and investments, and making new ones. So ascendant Libra. So for you, ascendant Libra, Pisces is the sixth, Aquarius the fifth. For example, if you have been working out, adopting a new pet, tending to what is needed to be done, the sixth house, what you have to do, or if you've recently given birth, then I know some Libra placements that are new parents. So then this is now showing, okay, how your health is doing right now. And again, because of the Uranus effect, this has unexpected results. For example, I think of when I went to an energy healer who said, "Oh, you must clear that and that, relationship from your release cords and stuff like that." And I was like, "I don't know if I want to touch that. I don't want." I did that, and then I became not allergic to cats. So today I have cats again. I don't know. This is just so, okay? Today I have cats again. So it can be such unexpected result that you did something for your health and then you dealt with another thing. Okay, you did a certain diet that you were doing, I don't know, for your heart condition, and then you, because of this diet, you managed to also, I don't know, find a new job. Like, not because you're skinnier, but because it's like opened up some energy blocks for you. And so this works unexpectedly. Where is Taurus for Libra? Ascendants, for Libra, ascendant Taurus would be your 8th house. Yes. So from the 6th to the 8th house. And yeah, the 8th house, so some unexpected changes in your investment portfolio, the way you share energy, occult studies. If you've been learning about astrology or the hidden, the occult, Uranus is completely great for that. You could be changing your view about how you do, let's say, magic or astrological magic or not astrological magic. I think of the time where I was transitioning from doing manifestation videos and trying to manifest in all kinds of ways, then noticing that some manifestations take longer and some get messy. And I was like, oh, astrology actually explains that. Let's dive deeper into astrology. And began to do astrology videos. So you could be having one such moment. Okay, like you changing, you're enhancing your occult studies, and this is somehow related. Maybe you even work at that. Okay, so for Scorpio ascendant, Taurus is your seventh, Pisces is your fifth house. So for you, this could be very juicy in the sense that you're having a new beginning in your seventh due to you're having a new beginning in your fifth house due to some unexpected events in your seventh house. So granted that you're not like taking a rebound because you just got divorced, then, but with the sextile, I don't predict that. I predict more like the conjunction or the hard aspect for that. But the sextile is simply now you're meeting this Uranus. Okay, the relations between your fifth house and your seventh house are sextile relations. So this new beginning meets you in a place of a sweet release. It can be very little, so you could be enjoying this time a lot. And yes, Aries would be your sixth house. So whatever you are doing in your daily routines, let's say you decided to get fit, and you're doing a workout that you have to do, and so on and so forth, releases energy and blockages. Now you are having better orgasms. It's true. Okay, you're having better nutrition as well. You started some new nutrition. Maybe you practice freedom, food freedom. Okay, so food freedom is basically like, yeah, I'm going to have all this healthy stuff, but I'm not going to deprive myself of stuff. And it's about being healthy, not about looking a certain way. And now you both are more confident. Your orgasms, you can back up your orgasms. Scorpios have no problem talking about this. You can back up your orgasm. You can actually come, and you can actually enjoy that. And also you can meet romantic partners and be intimate, and you meet them on a more authentic level. There's some sense of health that can be associated, or a job, or a kink that is like of servitude, because sixth house is servitude. So you want to make sure you are both like aligned, if this is like a new partner, or it can be a phase in an existing relationship. Other than that, some creative endeavors can become a job, and nothing bad about that. And you will try a way to make sure you're still being creative, you're still enjoying, you're still fertile while doing what you need to do, and you're still doing what you need to do while having this new beginning, something you've been dealing with for at least the past year, and it's going to very positively affect your relationship. Okay, so your commitment levels, what you expect, what commitment style. Okay, so you might have been checking various types of commitment style. Maybe you're close to settling in on a commitment style, and with Uranus it is unusual. Okay, remember actually relationship teaching of someone who told us, I was in her class, and she said, oh, I know a couple that they are not monogamous, but let's say if they, I don't know, have a baby, or if they one is going through a rough time, then they become monogamous again. This can create a lot of issue for a hierarchical non-monogamy. So this necessitates a hierarchical monogamy. But you can see that there are various types also between the commitment styles, that you can, various layers that you can assert with. And children can be relevant when you discuss these things. So yeah, they could be also a reality check, because Saturn is in the fifth house. So for example, you could be a completely non-monogamous person, but it's like, oh, well, I'm becoming a mother, a father, a parent, and now it's not just about, oh, what commitment style is around me, but also there is someone I have to give my time to and co-parent with, and this means that we will have different types of commitment styles because that. So that is another such factor, if this is the case for you. You say, oh, Scorpios are so possessive. Like, depending on what Scorpio, there are Scorpios that are non-monogamous, like completely non-monogamous, whatever. Ascendant, Sag. So Pisces is your fourth house. Aquarius, of course, is your third. This tells me, so Taurus would be for you, Sag. This is a half mirror. Sag. Yes, Gemini is your seventh house, and that would make your sixth house Taurus. So what this one means for you is that, not unlike the previous ascendant, what you are doing with your health, with your for a job where you serve others, or even if you have a pet or you try raising different pets, it can be like, it's Uranus. You could have, I don't know, a spider friend. It's not that outrageous, and that is very much affecting your home and your environment and your siblings' relations and your even transportation. So maybe, for example, you decided to take on adopting a pet that will be helping like blind people, and now you're just teaching the pet like for a year and so. Many people do it around university. And then this is like your job. Now let's say you have to renew a contract, okay? Now you have to make sure that the house is compatible with this pet, that you can walk around the neighborhood, that's safe for you, that is a place for this pet, and so on and so forth. Or maybe you have been doing that and now you're giving this pet away for adoption and you're preparing to actually own your own dog or something like that. Or, you know, Taurus, what's a Taurus animal? A spider. You think so? No? Spider? So, or a cow. Maybe you have a pet cow. What I see for you is basically your surroundings, your home is changing, and it's also in matters related to your health. It can also be, for example, that you decided to get fit, you decided to work out, you decided to look, to change the way, I don't know, you dress to work or something like that, and your neighborhood is just like not compatible with this anymore, and you move to another place. Okay? This is those unexpected things or changes. You change one thing, it's kind of like a butterfly effect. You change one thing, now it changes another. Or you suddenly got a job opportunity, now I have to move out. Yes, in your neighborhood, you will see the tension being released more before this lunation is going to be a little bit tense because Mars is squaring Uranus. And it's, yeah, you have to watch your health when you are walking around the neighborhood. If there are conflicts, hopefully you're not like caught up in the, you know, calling to genocide in the name of freedom, and or stuff like that, or the backlash that could be equally as abusive. So hopefully it's not something like that, but it's going to be a bit more relaxed as of this donation, actually. Okay, so a bit more relaxed. You're going to have a little bit more representation, and you're going to be feeling a bit safer, hopefully. So ascendant, Capricorn. Capricorn, Pisces is in your third, and Aquarius is in your second. Taurus is in your fifth. Now, fifth house, it could be a lover, it can be your child, your relations with your child, and so on and so forth. This can be creative endeavor that you are doing, your own fertility as well. So you deciding to be creative, your lover or child sparks creativity in you, or you could be even, let's say, you're pregnant, or suddenly, unexpectedly, or IVF birthing, as Uranus technology, or unexpected, like unexpected, which is funny. It can be both like unexpected, but not undesired, and it can also be like IVF, which is like technology and so on. And so it could be the both extremes of the expectation to have a child, like totally by surprise, or technology. We try again and again sometimes to do that. And so while this happens, for example, oh, you got pregnant, it's like you got lucky. But also you might this sparks a creative a drive in you. That's just Uranus. What is triggering this is coming from the environment of your neighborhood, your siblings, and your daily routines, but also transportation. You could, if you're like doing this in a car, I don't know. But another thing can be is that your child gets a driving license. Now you have to after you have like the driving license, then you have to have apprenticeship. Now they have the apprenticeship with you, and this changes your relationship a little bit. Or you would worry, how will they drive, and now they're driving the car, they have to drive the car, and you're like, oh, it's way more relaxing than I thought this would be. But this is going to happen a little bit of tension before that. Okay, expect things to do around your car. So whether you need to, if you need to, let's say, pay something, but you're also very eager to sort this, and this coming from your fourth house, from your housing. So for example, if you don't have like your own parking, then some accident can happen. It's not even related to you, but just because you live where you live, this is affecting actually your because the ruler Mars is kind of like in your second house, but just because you live where you live, this is co-present with the rulership of the third house, which is cars, neighbors, and so on and so forth. Both of them are affecting your income. So let's say a neighbor accidentally bumped into your car, and now you have to pay for it because they can't afford to. It's just like you can sue them, but it's just the case. Okay, you just have to take it on yourself. But another thing, third house, it could also be if you're running a business, then this is your daily routines. So it's the daily thing of running a business, and this is where something new happens there for you. So all in all, there's still a little bit of a tension regarding your income, your vocation, and there is also with Mars, there is a bit of drive there. Okay, so depending if Mars is like malefic off sect or out of sect, it could be accidents, it could be drive, and so you might even think about real estate because if you have other signification, because this is the ruler of your fourth house, and then you might, or some activism to do with that, but you also want to earn a home in a way right now. You want to earn a house, you want to earn your deep happiness, okay, in your peace, but it's to do with what you own, okay. And of course, beware of any if you see like your household as your possession, then of course your child might rebel, fifth house. and that can affect your car, and it can affect your neighborhood, like some weird or a neighbor might be interruptive. This is a bit more interruptive for you, okay? Simply by the merit of like it's just happening in the third house, in fifth and second. So why do I say interruptive? Because Saturn is in your third house. You are at your third house. It's interruptive because you are, by the merit of Mars, you are forced to change something about your business or what you do for a living, and it's unlocking a deep desire. But even though there's the sextile, with the moon and sun, this is good. But Mars is a bit reactionary, and this reaction is coming this your income versus your child, your income versus your creative endeavor, your possession versus your fun or your fertility. Okay, that's why it's interruptive, because the houses, they're like, oh, cool houses, but the action, that's what I don't like so much there. But it's getting better after this lunation. Okay, it's a sweet release of a tension between those. But even though you are eager to change things around the home, you're kind of forced to, and it affects what you are able to spend for a while. So yeah, so less budget for the fun and games, although Uranus might force you, okay, in the sense of not, God forbid, in a sexual way, but rather, and yes, if it is lover, then yes, around this time, perhaps, wait until Mars leaves the square, because this is not so good for intimacy. We want Mars in good aspects with Uranus. Mars in good aspects with Uranus is great. But Mars, yes, if all the heart is involved too, but Mars with bad aspect to Uranus is not, no. Like, it doesn't mean that anybody does anything on purpose. It just means that something is out of alignment with, like, flow, okay? So, yeah, we don't want to rebel in bed. Get it? So that's the thing. But other than that, after this donation, you might feel a bit of a relief issue. There is something around the house is getting better. The Mars Uranus, I'm more concerned for you because it's ruling your fourth house, your 11th house, and your fifth house. So it's kind of like, and in a square relations. So yes, if you are living in an area that's a bit dangerous, yeah, you might have to leave. Okay, you might have to leave. So this is a bit concerned. I have this ascendant in my home. So yeah, ascendant Aquarius. So for you, ascendant Aquarius, Pisces is the second house. And Aquarius is, of course, the first house. Of course, Mars in your first house with square into Uranus before this lunation. So this is where you might want to work with Deneb Algedy. Okay, so find the time where the midheaven or the ascendant, so thanks Christopher Warnock for this tip, when the midheaven or the ascendant is conjunct in Deneb Algedy, this is where you want to light a candle, to write a petition, to honor Deneb Algedy, the fixed star. So look a bit more into that, and this is where you want to do so for protecting, like, your own body, okay, yourself. This Mars in your first house is ruling your third house. So again, if you're living in a neighborhood, if you caught amidst the, some political conflict coming to your neighborhood, hopefully that's not the case, but even if, then Deneb Algedy could be a good place to turn to, and also to remember that this Mars is sextiling Aries in your third. So who are the underdogs, who are those who are misrepresented in your place. If you in some way honor these people, I'm not saying like go ahead and try to shake hands with people who want to kill you, but if you honor these people in some way, if you listen, or if you tend to those who are misrepresented, this can alleviate a lot of this tension. Taurus, yes, yes, Taurus is your fourth house. So this rebellion is pertaining to, the square is pertaining to your own home. For example, you could be of mixed race or a mixed religion or a mixed nationality house, and then you're kind of like somebody in your home is rebelling against what what the action that is happening kind of around you. Okay, and that means that you could also be having this tension that's coming from the neighborhood becoming a point where like there is tension between you and somebody in your household. Okay, your ascendant ruler is in Pisces, and this is your second house. So you're attending now to your income, to your expenses, and that can be kind of like at odds with your partner because of this Juno in the 8th house. Other than that, what I see for you, remember what I said, we're talking about commitment to the self, okay? This might prove, staying true to yourself, this might prove very useful, especially towards the eclipse. And I highly recommend for you to look at the longer video for Lada Duncheva for the eclipse, because to you, and funnily enough, Lada is, I think, Aquarius, yes, Aquarius ascendant, to you is very important because this Juno is actually in your 8th house. So Juno is in your 8th house, and Libra is the 9th house, but I want you to use only $6. Don't get dividend for that. It's just like, hey, that's a good video. This complementary, and if you are Aquarius ascendant, this lunation is preparing you for the eclipse in regards to staying true to yourself. Okay, it's true for everyone, but not everybody is going to feel like the Juno part. And sometimes like it can be like, oh well, there are these demonstrations for this Palestine, that Ukraine, this, that, or and so on and so forth around my neighborhood, and kind of like I come from this place, my partner comes from that place, and there's a bit of tension around us and tension around the neighborhood, and so on and so forth. But because Juno, okay, if you have anything in Virgo around the 11th degree of Virgo, then this is where you're especially being prepared to stay true to you in all the noise that is happening around you. And depending on if Mars is, more or less, this is going to directly affect you. Okay, Mars is in your first house. So if you are not staying true to yourself when it comes to whether it's the type of, if you own a business, whether it's your daily routines, whether it is, yes, Aries 3rd house, transportation, how you move from place to place. If you, let's say, are religious and you're going to certain certain, I don't know, church or something like that every Sunday, so it's kind of like that everything that's a you thing is both changing, but also when you find your you thing and you stay true to yourself, this is going to really help you deal with the eclipse, or else the eclipse will be a crisis point where if you've compromised something for the sake of peace at home, this is where, or peace with your partner, this is where you no longer can compromise what is not authentic to you. But also, on the other hand, if you have been only around like, I don't compromise anything, I can never really live with somebody who's coming from that lifestyle, from this lifestyle, from this or that. Not that Aquarius are prone to do that, but sometimes they can have like a dogma around something. This is where it's going to work the other way around. But actually staying true to yourself is like, hey, that was just that was something that I thought was important to me, but when I'm true to myself, doesn't matter. So depending what it is to you. And last but not least, ascendant Pisces. Ascendant Pisces, so new beginning in your first house, but Aquarius is your 12th house and is also involved. For example, you could change your outlook around issues to do with your mental health. And if there is, because Mars, the ruler of Aries, okay, so the I am is at your 12th house, perhaps there is a new definition that you are considering, whether it's a diagnostic or, and it has to do with the nervous system, okay, so you might be pondering about those things. And so for you, there is you're changing the way you're approaching this, okay? You're dedicating thought to how you'd like to be addressed in regards to your mental health, okay? Another way this can work, 12th house is also vacation, the bedroom, hotels room. So you could be, for example, addressing your with second house Aries, who you are is kind of like a property that you own in a way. And so this is also affecting what's going on, like behind closed doors. It can be a very inner change that you are going through, but is affecting your very physical self, and your appearance might change. Or you may be harvesting certain things that you've dedicated yourself to. Taurus is your third house. So Taurus is your neighborhood, Taurus is your transportation, public transportation, your car, your business, if you are having your daily routines, if you have a spiritual practice, then how you practice it daily, okay? There is a bit of a closure around these things, and some of it may include letting go of the type of expression that you are doing. If there are types of expression that are undermining you, okay, Venus in your 12th house, you might get a eureka regarding that, or it might suddenly change that. Yeah, I think about myself, I'm a Pisces ascendant now with this Mars and Venus in my 12th. Suddenly I had like, Neptune, Mercury, so suddenly I had like some difficulty to do live, so I had to change the way that I record and do a video. And mostly I really like to just press live and then you wouldn't see my face, but now you're seeing only my face. Of course, it's changing not only the visuals, but also affecting the content. And so I could get a eureka around this. Maybe starting a new habit for me, that I'll be doing things in that way. Now people like to see faces or maybe more views, and so on and so forth. I have to pay attention to my good and bad hair days and so on and so forth. So back to seeing my face again. Anything more for you Pisces? Yes, this Mars in your 12th. Again, I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. Anything to do with phallic things in your bedroom, wait until the lunation. From now until the lunation. Because while Mars is definitely eager to address its own Chiron wounds, that are affecting like your second house, your income, your this, your that. You're thinking about your bedroom drive and your creative endeavor and skills and your income. Okay, so your passion, how do these things affect you? Okay, but also because Mars is kind of like action and is squaring Uranus, although it is sextiling Aries, it is much better to think about things than to try to act. And so Mars in an air sign, I'll put it that way. A colleague asked about a week ago if with the Mars-Venus conjunction, should she work hard on her man or on her garden? And I said, well, Mars is in Aries, in an air sign. This is good for sapiosexual sex. So those who know the comment and have not missed it know what I'm talking about. Um, but, but right now it has changed, okay? Because Mars is applying to square Uranus. So this time work your land, but be careful with the tools, okay? So Mars is the sign of action, but in air sign, thought is action. And so the act of reflecting about what Mars is coming to heal can be very helpful. The actual attempt to do something in the bedroom right now, no, because Mars is a bit rebellious and it's kind of like it's not fit for the, you know, there are ways when I think about it, there are sudden creative expression. It's kind of like rebelling against societal standards that can happen. You know, it's the bedroom, right? But when you're like with your intimate partner, then willing consent matters. It's not the type of communication that is compatible now with that type of flow from either of the parties. So other than anything involving the phallus in bed, you can definitely though reflect on these types of connections between the bedroom and our drives and our passion to make a living and the struggle, okay, to have let's say an income or competitive markets or always be innovative, always be first, and then you go into the bedroom and now it's completely different ordeal, and so on and so forth. So you're reflecting both on the nature of your own Mars, and if you have like a bedroom partner, then that might be happening on their side. Much better to work with this element in thinking about things, reflecting, having eurekas, much less in trying to learn this by applying the science right now. But after this lunation, there's again a sweet release. There is a sweet relief, okay? You get your eureka. Now you're clearer and perhaps more available to try things. So that is a good thing for you. And of course, this is affecting your physical self. Sometimes even the notion like, oh, I can do astrology for my daily routines, and this can affect how I feel mentally, or I can do astrology for like timings to do with when my mental health is going to be a question. That can be very, very useful. And this can also mean that if you're changing like your definition of, I don't know, I'm neurodivergent, I am this, I am that, or I have such and such kink, okay, I'm pansexual, blah, 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 blah. This is also identity to do with the bedroom. And the property of features, like it's a feature, not a bug that you own, then you could understand that this is not the final cut, okay? There is also, when it comes to Uranus, it's not out of Taurus yet, and Mars is not out of Aquarius yet, okay, even after this lunation. So there's just like, oh, maybe that idea, or maybe that idea, and how does this affect you, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I did the 12 signs, and I hope this was useful for you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.